Hello, everyone. This is Coach Kat. Welcome to today's live training with roundtable breakout sessions where Heather, the master teacher that she is going to be leading us through today's topic, which is how to use the HSP approach to time off, on, and in as revolutionary self-care. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach Kat. And thank you for starting us off with that butterfly hug and conscientious breathing. So I think we all need the power of breath these days more than ever. So I'm going to invite us to go back into that space of deep breathing, just bringing a hand to your heart. Just a reminder that literally that is all that's needed to calm the nervous system, hand to heart. And taking a moment just to feel literally beneath the palm of your hand, the beating of your heart. Such a reminder in this over-intellectualized age that our heart is such a powerful organ. Research has shown that it is its own brain, and that this power is always available for us to tap into, to tune into, and to use to support ourselves. To take that even further and deeper with that hand, that palm still on heart, we take in a strong, steady breath. Breath in, and let it out. We're going to do that together again. And this time my invitation is to breathe into your heart. You actually have the ability to control and direct the power of your breath. For example, the breath can go into the belly, the breath can go into the ribs, and the breath can go into the heart. So this time as you breathe in, feel your heart expand. Together, breath in, and then together, let it out. And we'll do that one final time together. Once again, breathing into the heart, feeling the heart expand. And this time, as you breathe into the heart, feel the heart expand, set the intention for time to expand for you. Together again, breath in and let it out. Beautiful. So often our relationship with time is controlled by the limitation that the head brain puts on the meaning of time. So not only does hand on heart calm the nervous system, and not only does the power of a breath pattern help to shift a thought pattern, but as part of that connection, you can literally begin to shift and change the way that you relate with time. Hand on heart, expanded breath in, and that allows for an entry into the experience of time expanding for you. In support of today's weekly training topic, how to use the HSP approach to time off, on, and in as revolutionary self-care. So the part of that topic title that I really want to emphasize is revolutionary. As HSPs, as we focus on so consistently here in the Highly Sensitive Leadership Training Program, our nervous system is wired differently. Through that different wiring, we literally experience the world differently. Yet so often as HSPs, we attempt to fit ourselves into non-HSP systems. And that includes how we as human beings deal with, manage, or relate with time. When Kat first introduced today's topic, And she said the words time off, on and in. It was almost like energetically I could feel a community grumble. Ugh, not this again. Ugh, enough with the off, on, and in. Ugh. So, two pieces that I want to share with you today. One, where the concept of off, on, and in originated from. And two, why we want to revisit this now as a community of HSPs in business and leadership more than ever. So first of all, in brief, the origin story of time off, on, and in was from literally my first year of being self-employed. I went from being a high school drama and English teacher where your schedule is regulated to the minute. To the minute. And if you had any question about the regulation of that to the minute schedule, there was a bell ringing every 42 minutes to remind you of where you were meant to be, where you were meant to go, and when. Talk about Pavlov response. And then suddenly I was self-employed. And I was like, wait, where's the bell? What am I supposed to be doing? And when? And who's in charge here? And I realized it was me. And so I started considering the ways that I wanted to be able to organize my time. And from there, I created a system for myself. And that became time off, on, and in, which I'll go into a little bit more deeply in just a little few more minutes. But more importantly, why we want to revisit this now. So we want to revisit this now as a build upon to last week's training roundtable, where we talked about the concept of being tanked. Helpful, valuable, go back, revisit that weekly training roundtable if you weren't able to be there live, and if you haven't yet done a plan B. What was revolutionary about that topic from last week was the introduction of not only being tanked by another person and the suppressing of their emotions, flooding you with emotions that another person is not willing or able to manage and handle, but the introduction of tanking one's self as an HSP. So we want to revisit time off, on, and in now to support yourself to not be tanked. Please write that down. And as part of that, we want to be adapting this long-standing HSP teaching. Just a reminder, June is my 22nd year of being self-employed. So thank you. If I created this concept in my first year, that means this teaching is over 20 years old. What? Side note, I go to this exercise class that's taught by these 20-somethings. And one of them, during a break, asked me what I do, and I shared a little bit. And so then the next week she's like, oh, how long have you been working for yourself? I said, I'm getting ready to celebrate my 22nd year anniversary. She's like, I was not even born. And I was like, I know, right? So see the miracle of creation? You were created and I created a business. Amazing what can happen in 20 plus years. Yes, so little side note there. So again, why we want to be adapting this HSP teaching for 2025. So starting with time off as self-care to build resiliency for Exceptional Times 2.0. I'll say that again. I'm going to invite you to write it down. Time off as self-care to build resiliency for exceptional times 2.0. Exceptional times being what we are living in and through right now, because there is a lot of crazy shiz happening now, and it's not going away anytime soon. Particularly, the team has been noticing a major energy swirl happening in the community, specifically around June 1st transitions. We have members who are moving, we have members who are starting new jobs, ending jobs, we have members who are going into surge time or downtime as part of mid-year months. We have relationship transitions that are happening, graduations, losses. This is why we start with time off first, so that we don't need to crash, we don't need to soothe, and we don't get caught in a coping cycle. So this is a beautiful opportunity for us as a community to revisit the coping cycle. So important, I'm going to ask the team to bring up the handout of the HSP Business Leadership Coping Cycle. Let's get eyes on that cycle, starting first with, at the top of the cycle, the trigger. Many of us unconsciously are triggered by socialized concepts of time, which throws us into anxiety, follow the cycle circle, heading down on the right, into fear, into a lack of safety, into our coping mechanisms, pushing, hiding, combo plattering. For myself, I am a recovering pusher. So that first year being self-employed, and suddenly those school bells weren't ringing every 42 minutes, guess who almost had herself in a state of overwhelmed, overexerted exhaustion? Yep, that would be me. Ready to literally just crash. I was so triggered and terrified at the possibility of not being able to pay my bills, make my rent. It was as if my nervous system was in consistent, ongoing overdrive. And then as we go up the side of the cycle, we see collapsing, beating self up, shame, going into soothing, recovery and rebound until we get tossed around the cycle again. The other piece that I want to bring your eyes to as part of the revisit to this coping cycle is the blue dotted lines. The blue dotted lines show us that we can interrupt the cycle at any moment. Please write that down. Interrupt the cycle at any moment. There's no right place to interrupt the cycle. There's no wrong place to interrupt the cycle. There's no judgment on my part or any other part of when you are able to interrupt the cycle, by having awareness, as you see at the top of the inner sphere of the cycle. Just any awareness of, oh my gosh, I'm in the cycle, is extremely valuable. Now, what can support us in having more proactive awareness regarding the coping cycle is by utilizing time off, on, and in. Thank you, team. So becoming friends with time is basically learning to triage, prioritizing your relationship with time as an act of intuition. So wait a minute, what does that mean? So first of all, it means the willingness to look at and relate to time differently. Just willingness. Considering the possibility that you as an HSP have different needs when it comes to time. As part of this, let's briefly revisit what off, on, and in actually means. Briefly, time off is when you are completely away from your business. Ideally, you're not even thinking about it. Time on, well, let me go back to time off, business and or leadership position. Time on is when you are engaged in creating in support of your business or leadership position growth. For example, being here is time on. You're receiving training, or you are creating. You're creating offers, you're creating operation systems, you're developing marketing, or you're actually engaged in marketing. All examples of working on your business or on your leadership. Time in. This is when you are serving in your business or leadership position. For those who are self-employed, time in is primarily speaking to prospects, selling conversations, serving your clients. In leadership positions, it's working with your team, serving those that you are here to serve, students, colleagues, clients, as part of an organization, association, or academic leadership position. So ultimately, off, on, and in supports you as an HSP in business and leadership with holding boundaries. And not just boundaries with others, boundaries with yourself. What you want to do is you want to go through your calendar and literally begin to label and identify and mark time off, time on, and time in. And if you're not yet in a place to do that, then to at least begin to consider the possibility. When I first developed this training, again, over 20 years ago, it was a very different time. When I first developed this teaching, this training, first for myself and then sharing it with others, it was about really segmenting full days. Days of time off, days of time on, and days of time in. For most of us, in many ways, we don't have that luxury anymore. So this is where we apply the law of adaptation. We don't throw the teaching out the window and just succumb to global geopolitical chaos. That's not HSP leadership. No, instead, we use assessment, we apply the law of adaptation, we take personal responsibility, and we create what's needed for us to excel as HSPs in business and leadership through Exceptional Times 2.0. All to stay out of perfectionism, all to stay out of all or nothing thinking and acting. The world has changed so much, and it continues to change rapidly. So full days aren't always possible, even for those who are in business full time. So if it's not full days, then what is it? Write that down. The difference between soothing and nurturing is consciousness versus unconsciousness. Proactive versus reactive. To soothe is a verb that means to reduce pain or discomfort. Nurture is also a verb. Care for and encourage the growth or development of. How will you take charge, set boundaries, begin to explore, if nothing else, relating with time differently so that you're not tanked? You're available for yourself, and then you're available for others. Now, one bottom line of the original teaching of time off, on, and in that I hold to this day is time off is scheduled first. That alone is revolutionary. That is the opposite of the other 80%. Time off is last, and time off, stereotypically, for the other 80% is not about rejuvenation. It's about more stimulation, but just in a different way. For you, time off is first, and you build everything else around that. Because your time on and your time in will benefit from the time off. You will be more creative, innovative, and productive in your time on and in your time in because of honoring time off. Please join us for Afterglow. Hang around for some music, a little bit of movement, sharing in the chat. Other than that, leaving you with many blessings, many business miracles for the rest of the day, the week, into the weekend, and all the ways that we'll be connected between now and our next weekly training roundtable. So much love.